Welcome to From the Editor with Larry Gordon, where newsmakers unpack the stories shaping the Jewish community.
I'm Larry Gordon, coming to you from the offices of the Five Towns Jewish Times. And today we have the privilege of having our guest, Alan Goldman, a longtime resident of the Five Towns, and a man that, by his own description, as we were talking earlier, has been in the business of searching, and which is, I think, defines Judaism in a way. And he's had some very interesting directions that it's taken him in, and I think in the next half hour or so, we're going to explore some of that. I'm joined with my son, Yochanan, who is a friend of Alan's from Kahal Mavakshe Hashem in Lawrence, which is an internationally famous shul, and under the direction of Rabbi Yossi Zakatinsky, who also is today, a few years later, internationally famous. You are a veteran of being brought up here in the Five Towns, the yeshiva system here in the Five Towns. And question is, what was the experience like? What do you recall? What do you recall best from the best of what it means to be a Five Towns kid?
I went to South Shore in Hewlett. Yeah, it was a pretty normal place. Fairly well balanced. We had we had Hebrew, we had English. Like most days of the year, you were wearing whatever colored shirts you wanted.
That's still an issue. That's still an issue in a lot of yeshivas, but it's interesting that you remember that. You could wear colored shirts.
Yeah, I remember on Rosh Chodesh, we had the white shirts.
You have to wear white shirts. I think I remember that too, believe it or not, going back much more years than that.
Yeah, which I sort of consistently didn't remember. Like, I was that guy who...
So you showed up in a blue shirt on Rosh Chodesh?
Yeah, but not to be a rebel, just it was like...
Yeah.
I never, just didn't quite get the memo. Like, I wasn't on top of these sorts of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty positive experience.
Yeah.
There were teachers that my siblings had because they also went there.
Okay.
And one of those teachers was actually a tutor of my siblings, or at least one of them. So before I even got to that grade, I was already familiar with that teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know him from home.
Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was kind of memorable.
And, okay. Yeah. And after that, after South Shore?
After South Shore. So that's a bit of a mixed bag, my high school experience. So first I ended up going to in Washington Heights, MTA, the brother that's just older than me. Okay. So he went there. So he sort of paved that path. I was there for a year and, I was like, had the experience and it was time to move on. And then the next 2 years I was in Yeshiva Rockaway.
Okay.
And in the summers, one time because I didn't do well in math. So my father's like, well, you got to get this right. So I ended up taking Math 2 in Lawrence High School. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that, so then I try to, for what would have been my 12th grade year, I try to accelerate so I can graduate high school early. So I ended up going in the summer to take Lawrence High School advancement courses for what would have been my 12th grade year. And I came pretty close. And Rabbi Braffen basically said to me, he's like, well, what do you really need to graduate? So, so I said to him, well, you need a certain number of hours. And, he's like, more about that. Let's just focus on what you actually need. So I said, like social studies and I need to take the SATs. He's like, you don't have to stay here for that. Go to a place where you feel you can grow and go to Israel. So
you went to Israel then?
For what would have been my 12th grade year, I was in the Bay in Telstone.
What's the name of the school in Telstone? Neve Zion.
Yeah.
And you stayed in Israel past that year, or that was just a year?
After that year, I came back.
Mm-hmm. And you continue your education, or some kind of profession?
Well, I continued my education by going to trade school.
What'd you learn in trade school?
Auto mechanics.
Auto mechanics. Yeah. That's a very sought after type of work because you never run out of jobs to do. I don't think.
No, to quote Henry Ford, if I can charge whatever I want for parts, I'd give cars away for free.
Yeah. So this gentleman here, my son Yochanan from So you want to tell us from where?
From Kahal Mavakshi Hashem. We met.
Okay, you
Kahal
mentioned
Mavakshi
that. You
Hashem.
mentioned that you're a very big fan of KMH,
Yeah.
and you're very attached to the shul and to the Rav, Rabbi Yossi Zakatinsky, and that's why we're sitting here talking today, because that's what we all have in common.
Yeah, for sure. What was your first time in the shul?
Oh, my first time in the shul. I mean, I guess there's a backstory to appreciate that first time.
Sure.
So I was by somebody's house who is a regular frequenter of the shul, and he said, "Oh, the Rav is having some, kind of event in his house." It was on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
What year? Just what year was that?
How long was the shul open?
Well, it opened in the rabbi's house before.
5 years?
No more, like 8
More
years
than that?
probably.
Yeah, I guess it was around 2019.
Mhm.
I don't remember. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Or just before, around that time. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to go down exactly, but I'm like, if it doesn't work out, you have to be a good sport. I always try to take the attitude, especially now, that if there's any part of me that thinks that it could be a good idea, even if I'm not 100% sure, like just try it out. And if it doesn't work, at least you tried it out, and so there's no doubts. Like, you have to have a certain amount of courage in life in order to get things done or have new experiences. So I went to the Rav's house, and they seated me next to him. Now I have my white T-shirt. It was Friday night. Like, I didn't know how things were going to unfold. And the person whose house I was eating at, he said, Al's a good guy. He's a smart guy. So the Rav, his first thing he said to me was like, if he says that about you, you should take it seriously. You shouldn't take it lightly. Mm-hmm. So I said I don't. But in that moment, something struck me, something subtle. He didn't see like a sort of offbeat random guy coming into his house. He saw a person, and he interacted with the person. Mm-hmm. And that I was very, very like, and to this day, he's like, he was just being himself. But I was like, okay, that was something that spoke to me. And then it was Parshas Lech Lecha, and the way that I know is because what he said. He said, you should know, but Avram, it wasn't about Gashmias, it wasn't about physicality, in his whole personal journey. I'm like, okay, that's what I would expect a Rav to say. And he says, well, it wasn't about Ruchnius. I'm like, oh, okay, you have my attention. That I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And he said, it was about emes. It's about truthfulness. And again, something subtle, like, there's the text and then there's like the subtext. And
right.
To me, something subtle had taken place, which is in a way he had described the last 3 decades of my life. Mm-hmm. Because I had learned from mystics and I'd also learned from atheists or would. All in the quest to try to figure things out.
So you're a truth seeker.
Yeah.
And you think there's truth in the world, or it's lost somewhere in the mix of whatever the world has to serve up on a daily basis?
Well, it depends what you mean by that. Meaning, like, I would say that the nature of reality is what it is. And it doesn't change because people are not comfortable wanting to know it, or people believe in a relativistic, sense of things. Like, things are what they are. And it's a matter of whether or not you want to get a true sense of things.
Was there ever a sense of like disillusionment that sent you on a journey, or?
Well, yeah. That would have taken place much earlier. But I still haven't quite answered your question yet.
Truth, about truth.
Well,
where do you find
your original question as to why I ended up in the shul? What was my first experience?
Okay, that was his question.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So then he says something else. He says, like, Lawrence doesn't need another shul, and this is like when he was first getting started. So like, and also that too touched me in a deep way, because like, let's say a person first gets their license, right? The Department of Transportation doesn't necessarily need another driver on the road. Like they'll still be repairing the same roads, and and the police will still be giving the same tickets, and and the people who repair the lights will still have the same jobs. But to the guy who gets the license, it's a big deal, and,
right?
And why not, right? But he was able to see through that right away. It's like, they don't need this place. Like they don't need, like there's enough places to go. He said it had to be, it's at something different. Something he referred to as a Mashiach shul, which I didn't quite know what that was, but he explained. He said it has to be a shul where, I don't remember the exact words, but this is a sentiment, where every Jew is welcome and wanted and needed and indispensable. So I remember thinking to myself, wow, that's quite a sentiment. And my inner words were, you talk a good game. Let's see what happens when I show up.
So is that the first time you ever heard the rabbi talk that way?
That was the first time I heard him talk, period.
Not that rabbi,
Not him,
any rabbi.
I mean, there was another rabbi who also impressed me in a different way, Rabbi Elisha Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Rabbi Sandler?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's, at that time, and maybe today, he's the mashgiach of Shar Yashuv.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke in a way that he really valued every single Jewish person. I remember one of the stories I heard him say over, he was like, he was starting this like camp for like kids who maybe had like a semi-Jewish background, and maybe they were able to get like 10 kids originally for the camp, and then they lost funding, and they were like, and then like, so they told the parents, oh, we can't have your kids because we don't have funding. And then they said, oh, it's back on again. And then they were able to get 6 kids to go. He's like, wow, isn't that great? 6 kids or 7 kids. He's like, what about the other 3? He's like, we lost the other 3. And like, but we got the 6 and 7. It's like, but what about the other 3? Like, there was a sense to him that, every Jewish person was indispensable. And if they weren't connected, and if they weren't aware, and if they weren't reaching their best selves, it was a colossal loss that can't be measured. So,
we had a story in the paper recently. I don't know if it was in your article or Chaim Shaul Brooks' article, where a couple from Australia came to meet the Rebbe many, many years ago, the Yechidus. And the Rebbe asked him, in Australia, where you come from, I guess in Melbourne in those days, are you still running annual programs on Taras HaMishpacha, on family purity? So the rabbi said to the Rebbe, we're not going to have it this year because last year we had it, only one woman showed up. So the Rebbe said to him, Moshe Rabbeinu only had one mother. So if it's just one person, that's also exactly what you're saying, extremely valuable to be able to focus on every Jew, and that's, I think, what captured your attention, sounds like to me.
Yeah, just this idea that like we don't have it's not like, oh, well, that guy's indispensable. No, there's no such thing.
No such thing no such thing by our people anymore. And listen, even in the yeshiva level, the whole idea of, when I was a kid, older than you, but when I was a kid, it was very common to meet kids that were thrown out of yeshiva. It was almost like a badge of honor in some areas, But it's unheard of today. You can't do it today. I don't know, it went out of style, but it's not the proper approach. But things change very, very dramatically between then and now. So what do you do now? What is your life about?
Yeah, just trying to figure things out. Just if I could sum it up in one statement, it would be, let the earth and the sky tell you its own story, and just listen.
Okay, right. I think there's a pasha like that, right? Hazino, right?
I think he's referencing the David HaMelech until Mashmai Misaprim Kvoid Kel Maisiyad of Magarakia.
Yeah, it's closer to that. That's Psalm 19.
So you think, is there hope to be able to figure things out? You think?
I've definitely figured out pieces, and if nothing else, if my journey were to stop right now, which I don't plan on having it stop, but if nothing else, I've reached a state of wonder where I can look at things that are happening, things that we know are happening, and it's just, wow, that's absolutely astounding.
So what do you see as your future? You're relatively young. You're 45 years old, Maybe it took you a little bit longer to figure things out. Maybe you're a little bit of a deeper thinker than the average guy, if you don't mind me saying. I mean, it's a compliment, And
I take it as such.
But what do you envision for yourself in the future?
Well, I think that's the nature of this, is that, if you're really if you're really trying to figure things out and you really don't know where it's all going to go, then you really don't know how your future is going to go. And that's kind of how it is. Every day is a different day for me.
But you understand, probably, you're a smart man, that you're not the average product of the yeshiva system. I mean, there are people like you probably, and that but you're part of the minority. I was saying, instead of the majority. So how do you balance that? What's your thought about where you stand? You like being an iconoclast? Like Avram Avinu, it was Avram HaIvri. He saw things from a different, he was from the other side. So is that how you see yourself?
Yeah, well, yeah. As it once came to me, as every now and again I'll open up the scriptures and just let it speak its piece.
Let it speak to you.
Yeah. So there's something called a ger toshav.
Okay.
Which translates in English as resident alien.
Okay.
Right. Not a reference to UFOs, but or extraterrestrial personnel, but a reference to non-Jewish people living in the land of Israel who have the right to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I happen to be in a place that is very accepting of me, so there is still a sort of outsider part of I'm never going to be fully integrated where it is that I am, but I become more of a toshav, right? They're just okay, you're you, and we appreciate that, and you get to be. So that's kind of how I see myself as
So you feel at home at Mavakshe, at Kal Mavakshe Hashem? You feel at home there?
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably been. It's only open 5 years, right? 6
No,
years.
so 8 years.
You must have been in a number of other shuls or yeshivas in the course of your years that you've been searching.
Yeah, well, things have been tried out.
Yeah.
Things have definitely been tried out. Yeah.
Okay. Do you find the average experience is more acceptance than rejection, or more rejection than acceptance?
I'm reluctant to talk about all the details. Suffice it to say, before KMH, my general mindset was I knew at a certain point in time I learned about KMH just because I was walking around and on a Saturday, and I saw people come out of there, and I'm just that's fine, but I'm not really a person that goes to shul, so it's not really applicable to me.
Mm-hmm.
My mindset was I'm just a lone kind of walker. It was very unexpected that I would become part of it, and the reason that I am part of it is just I realized that I can go in there every single day and be I don't know anything, and everyone's that's fine, so or I'm not necessarily buying into all the dynamics that are going. That's fine, but you're you, and and you respect other people's journey. There's a very expansive consciousness there.
What sent you away in the first place?
What's that?
What sent you away in the first place? You grew up in the 5 towns and you went to yeshiva. It sounds like you went to high school and you've completed your 12th grade year in Israel, and then what?
I think he's saying that you should be a typical candidate, that the shul shouldn't have been a strange thing to you. You went through the whole minor league system.
I understand the inquiry. So I ended up the next part of the journey after Apex was I ended up going to yeshiva in Zechron Yaakov, which is near Haifa, and
right.
that was a pretty serious yeshiva.
Yeah. So you know how to, you're well versed. You know how to learn.
Yeah,
you shouldn't hold it back.
Not sure what you mean.
I mean, you're making it sound like it's a strange thing to you, but
no,
you're like a secret agent. You're very well versed.
No, so I'm definitely knowledgeable about I guess the basics. But then there's just okay, what am I looking at? Let's say I had all different types of questions about a lot of things, and I'm just I don't have answers to these questions. I don't know what I'm looking at. And then I analyzed my motives, and I said why am I doing what it is that I'm doing? And
did you ask people that didn't have answers for you?
I called up people. I called up people who specialize in these.
Were they not bothered by the same questions you were bothered by?
I don't know if they were bothered or I don't know. Like, you know, certain people were like Kira people, and this is what they did.
Right.
Well, Jewish life is complex. You know, it's complex for young people and middle-aged people and older people, and that's the nature of the world, I think. You know, so you have a unique experience, but I think we all do in different levels.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very good talking to you, and we'll keep in touch. I know we'll see you in shul, and we'll do this again and catch up to you sometime in the future and see, what's changed, if anything.